Hey, welcome back again to the All Golfer Workshop. So here's the Massey Niblick that we drilled a hole down through the end of the shaft. We turned an extension on the lathe, and we've now glued it in and kind of blended, filed the extension in there. The club's now 36 and a half inches long, and right now it scales out at a D2 on the swing weight scale. So by the time we get a grip on it, it's going to be right around D0 or high C's, and it'll just be fine and very playable. So let me show you. There's a lot of ways. I've seen a lot of videos out on the internet about how to put a grip on. So this is just my way, another way. Alright, so we're going to put a grip on this Massey Niblick that we've extended. And the first thing is friction tape, hockey tape, whatever people want to call it. It's the basis for what we use to install a grip. And so basically you just you wrap it around the club, one layer, just edge to edge, and there's people out there, they have all kinds of fancy equipment for holding the club on the bench and all that kind of thing, but you know what, I just like to work it here at the bench. I just kind of, I kind of hold the club between my legs, or whatever it takes to just be comfortable and work here at the bench and get the job done without a lot of headaches. So there you go. That's your friction tape. And then we're going to grab a leather strip to put on it for a grip. Alright, so I've grabbed one of the pre-cut leather strips off the wall. This is made from a cowhide, deer tanned cowhide. We just cut it into strips. There's a lot of documentation on taper and whatever, but to be honest with you, doesn't really matter that much. You don't have to be that critical on any of this stuff. Basically, you need to have a lead-in cut into the grip. I have a spot where I position it in generally and quite regularly. The friction tape is awesome because you can just kind of press the start of that leather onto the tape and it holds it in place. You take a tack and just kind of press it in and get it ready to go. Grab your hammer, give it a couple whacks. We've got a tack holding the leather in place. So like I said before, I pretty much just hold the shaft in front of me, and this way I'm able to use both hands just quite comfortably. Spin the shaft around, get a good look at what I'm doing. You really don't need any fancy tools or anything to do this. And alright, so it's going around quite well. You just stretch it a little bit just to give it some tension, but you don't overstretch it. The leather can be overstretched and it doesn't really do any good. You want it to be supple and firm. The grip friction tape holds it in place pretty well. And when you get to the bottom, just we'll just nip it off there for now. So once you get the grip wrapped on, we got to dress the edge a little bit for some whipping, and then we'll address the details here. You have the option, to be honest with you, whether you want to put another tack at the bottom. I'll just go ahead and do it on this one because we can. But basically, a lot of times I don't even put on a second tack because the whipping holds it pretty well. Although historically, you generally will find a second tack at the bottom of the grip. Now I've got my gripping toolbox here. It's an old box. I've got a shaft, and I got my whipping here on a spool, so it's nice and convenient. Feeds out real easy. And I've got some great old tools. This is a super sharp, razor sharp, what they call scything knife. And so what I'm going to do with it is cut some real nice long lead kind of angle cuts on this, so that I can, when I whip it, it will have a nice climb to it, and you know, won't look like it has a big old giant step coming off of it. Alright, so I cut that off. I just kind of peel off the flaky edges there, and it's ready to whip. So I just grab the tail end of my whipping and lay a little piece down, get it started going around once or twice, and then again I'm just you know, I'm just trying to get into a comfortable position, and just turn it around. I just place it on my knees, kind of on my lap here, and spin it around. Give it a chance to climb the ramp of the angle that I just cut off. And then once it gets up to the edge of that angle, I'm going to put in my loop tool. Put in my pitch for Sonny Chappie here. He does a great job at making these little loop tools. And you can find those on hickorygolf.com. You can find the link to Sonny's contact. Get these things. So again, I love having the spool handy. Just feed out a few more. There's 5, 6. I go lucky 7. I go 7 whippings once I put my tool in. Lucky 7. No real reason why. You just kind of feed that through the tool and pull it through and cut off the slack. And you have to have some sort of burnishing equipment. I have this great, again, old leather piece. It's a versatile tool, but basically I can use the side of it and do a real nice burnish job on the whipping. Okay, so there you go. The grip is on. It's whipped at the bottom. The only thing left to do is put a little whipping at the top. And I gotta tell you, this is one area where I don't quite figure out where people are coming from, because I see people put like 10 wrappings, 8 wrappings, whatever, but I've never found an old club with more than 3 or 4. So that's the way I do it. Again, just kind of lay it down on there, Go around once, go around twice, put in the whipping tool, go around one more time real tight, cut off a little extra length, feed it through the tool, pull it through, cut it off, give it a little burnish job, and it's set in there really well. So the last thing that I do is that, a lot of people, I get this clean edge on here, but you know what happens is when you leave it like that and you put them into the bag, it kind of rubs and curls them up. And so what I do is I use my scathing knife again, and I just I give it a nice little edge cut up here. Now, this is super appropriate when you're doing a pre-1900 club, because they're so old that generally that's the way the old sheepskin grips looked. But I do it to all the grips because once I get it done this way, and just kind of rub that edge of the leather down, and once I start to treat the leather, it just gives a little bevel there and it doesn't grab quite so much. So alright, there is an old golfer grip, and it's ready for play.